All right, so after you have your answers checked, you should go to the next page, page 2. We're going to look at some graphs and decide if each graph represents direct variation. So a few things you want to look for in the graph. You want to see that it's a straight line, and it needs to go through the point 0, 0. So if we look at number 1, we see it's a straight line, and it goes right through the middle of the graph, right through the origin. So yes, that is a direct variation. How about number 2? Is that a direct variation? No, it's not. It is a straight line, but it doesn't go right through the middle. Okay. How about number 3? That is also a no. Oops. Sorry, that should be a no. Um, because the graph is not a straight line. Okay, so that is also a no. And then the last one, is it a direct variation? Well, that's yes, because it is a straight line and it goes through the point 0, 0. Okay. So when you're looking at a graph, you're looking for straight line and going through the point 0, 0. Now, a few of these more advanced problems. Okay. Um, Solve the following situations involving direct variations. Find the constant of variation k, and then find the missing value. So this basically tells you how to do it. Basically, you're going to be given two numbers, an x and a y value, so you can find the constant, and then they'll give you an x value or a y value, and you'll have to find the other one. Okay, whatever the missing value is. So in the first example, suppose that y varies directly with x. With y equals 12 when x equals 3, find y when x is 24. So the first thing we need to do is find k. So we're going to do that secondary equation that we talked about. K equals y over x. Remember, we don't use that to write an equation, but we just use it to help us. And what we're going to do is we're going to plug in y and x. So what's a y value that we can plug in? We can plug in 12, and then what's the x value that goes with 12? That'd be 3. So we're going to do 12 over 3. And what's 12 over 3 going to be? It's going to be 4. Okay. So now that we have the constant, now we're going to write it in our equation, y equals 4x. And please make sure you're actually like writing the steps down, because if you ever get tricked, they might throw like y at you instead of x. So it's just good to do this entire process. And what we're going to do now that we have the equation is we're going to plug in, we need to find y when x is 24. So I'm going to rewrite this equation, but instead of x, I'm going to write 24. And now all I got to do is solve for y. 4 times 24, what will that give me? That gives me 96. So when x is 24, y is 96. Okay, so the first step is to use the secondary equation to find your constant. Then you use the original equation to figure out the missing value. So let's do example 2. Suppose that y varies directly with x. If y equals 6 when x equals negative 2, find y when x is 4. So we're going to use the secondary equation first. And what are we going to plug in for y and x? We're going to plug in 6 and negative 2, because those are the two values that go together. And what's 6 divided by negative 2 going to give me? Negative 3. So now that I have the constant, I'm going to use the original equation, y equals kx, y equals negative 3x. And we need to find y when x is 4. So am I going to plug 4 in for y or x? I'm going to plug it in for x. And what's 3 times negative 4? Negative 12. So when x is 4, y is negative 12. The last one. Now this one isn't quite as straightforward as y and x, so we kind of have to read the problem here to figure out how we're going to set this up. Sales tax varies directly with the cost of the item being purchased. So right there, that first sentence, tax varying directly with the cost of the item being purchased, I'm going to change my secondary equation. We usually do k equals y over x, but I'm actually going to do k equals t over c for tax over cost. And what I did is I read the problem, and whatever I saw first, so I saw tax, that goes on the top. cost goes on the bottom. So as you're reading the problem, the first variable goes on top, the second one goes on the bottom. Goes in order. Now, if the sales tax on a $96 item is $384, find the sales tax on a $128 item. So let's start with the tax. What tax price am I going to use? That's going to be $384. And what's the cost with that tax? 96. So I'm going to do 384 over 96. And what does that give me for my constant? It gives me 0.04. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to write the equation. Now instead of y and x, what I'm going to do, you notice how y was on top here? And I kept writing y first. I'm going to write t first. So instead of y equals negative 3x, I'm going to write t equals 0.04c. Okay, so basically I just brought the c up top. And now I need to find the tax on a $128 item. So is $128 the tax price, or is it the cost of the item? That's the cost of the item. So I'm going to plug it in for C. And when I multiply that, what do I get? I get 5.12. So $5.12 is my tax. Do the your turns and check your answers, and then we will let you know what to do from there.